and welcome to Media Cubs News. Today we've got a special guest, Damian Dallimore. Welcome, Damian. Damian, can you tell me what your specialist subject is?
My specialist subject is violence reduction.
Why does Greater Manchester need a violence reduction unit?
Well, in Greater Manchester, like many other cities in the country, there are problems with crime. So obviously everyone knows that the police have a responsibility to deal with crime, but the police can't deal with it on their own. So they need to work with the likes of my team. So I work in the Mayor's office. Have you heard of Andy Burnham?
Yeah.
So Andy Burnham's like our boss, and he decides what the priorities are for Greater Manchester. And one of them is us working with the police to address violent crime. And so my job is to work not just with the police, but also with schools and with hospitals and other people to help make Greater Manchester a safer place for everyone.
Who else works with the violence reduction unit?
So as well as me and Mel that you can see over there, we've got police officers. So we've got a team of police who work with us every day, but we also have a teacher who works in our team. We have a doctor, so a lady that works at the hospital who normally treats people, you know, when they come in and they've got like cuts and wounds and things like that. So she normally deals with those things. She comes and works with us. We've got somebody who works for a charity, so he does a lot of work out on the streets with young people and with communities to provide like sporting activities and other fun things for people to do. Ooh, who else have we got? We've got somebody who works in something called public health. We have a person whose responsibility is to deal with people who've been victims of crimes. So a real range of people. We're a big team and everybody has their own particular specialism in the team.
What kind of crimes do you help to reduce?
Well, if we're doing our job properly, we'll be reducing all different types of crimes. So first of all, because our team's called the Violence Reduction Unit, the thing that we're really interested in is violence. So when people have fights and assault each other, that's something that's really bad, isn't it? So if we can reduce that, that'd be brilliant. But it might reduce other crimes as well. So sometimes people get their cars broken into, don't they? Or the houses get vandalised and things. If we can make Greater Manchester a safer place, it'll reduce lots of different types of crime.
What inspired you to work for the violence reduction unit?
So my background when I was at school, I was always interested in things about psychology and crime and criminology. So when I finished at university, I thought I really want to work with the police, but I don't want to be a police officer myself, but I think there's things that we can do to help the police to stop crime from happening.
Why do you do what you do?
I do what I do because I think a really important part of my job is to try and make things better for people who live in Greater Manchester. So if we make Greater Manchester a safer place, it'll be a more enjoyable place for people to live and to work and to go to school. And so if we get it right and if we do a really good job, I think it makes lots of people's lives better, and that makes me feel good.
What are the most challenging parts of your job?
Well, do you want to know what I do in a day? So normally in a work day, I have lots and lots and lots and lots of meetings. So I speak to lots of people, whether it be like in schools or with the police or whoever it might be, hospitals. And that can be really, really tiring. Can you imagine just being in meeting after meeting after meeting? And sometimes a bit boring, I think, too. But the bit that I really enjoy is when we get to go out and meet people like yourself, like your school, and people who live in our communities. That's the best bit of my job. So my answer is that the difficult bit is when you're in a really boring meeting, but the best bit is when I get to come out and meet people.
How can we stay safe in our community?
Well, luckily, most of our communities are really safe. I think Greater Manchester is a very safe place to live. So we're already doing a good job, aren't we? Because most people are safe all the time. But there are things that you can do. Obviously, make sure that your parents or any adults that you know where you are. I think if you're going to go to visit a friend or whatever, then arrange a time and things like that. But I think Greater Manchester's pretty safe, don't you?
Yeah.
Good.
Good afternoon. And my question is, how can we stay safe online?
Online? Well, that's a really good question, Susie. I think one of the things that we do as a team is teach young people how to use online, the internet, safely. And I think the most important thing is that you only talk to people that you know and that you trust, and you don't talk to anybody that you don't know who they are or what their names are, or if they ask you what your name is, you don't tell them and you tell a parent straight away. So I think that's really important first of all. But if you go on the internet, I presume your mum or dad or someone is there with you, and I think that's really important too, because if left on your own, you might end up seeing things that you don't want to see, or as I say, people try and talk to you that you don't want to talk to you. So I think all those things are really important.
Do you visit schools often, and why?
I don't go to schools as often as I would like to. Obviously in the last 2 years we've had lockdowns, haven't we? So we've not really been able to get out. But I love coming to schools, I love talking to young people and teachers and finding out about what you're doing. So today's been really exciting. I've been really looking forward to it, and I hope to be able to get to more schools in the future, because it is a lot more fun than some of the other parts of my job.
If you had another job to do, what would you pick and why?
If I could do any job in the world, anything, I'd like to work in a zoo. I love animals and I love being outdoors, and I think working at Chester Zoo is probably the best job in the world. So I'd like to do that.
Really?
Yeah.
Me too.
Me too. What a great job.
Tell me about your day in life.
Well, I've got a little baby at home, so the first thing that happens in the morning is I wake up really early and feed him, and then get ready for work, and then do often a very long day. So I travel to the office, and then, as I said earlier, I often have lots of meetings with people. Sometimes that is in person, like this, but sometimes we meet via the computer. You can have meetings now, can't you, via the computer? And sometimes I write reports, and sometimes I have to do presentations where I stand up in front of people and talk about something. Sometimes I get to go out and meet with members of the public or the police or teachers or whoever it might be. I can get out and about, which is the best bit of my job. And then, tired, I go home and I feed my little baby again, and then I cook tea, and then if I'm lucky, I get like an hour's peace and quiet before I go to bed.
If I wanted to do your job, what would I need to do?
Well, I think the things that are important in my job are to be a good communicator. So whether that is doing things like this, being able to talk to either children or adults, I think is really important. But communication can sometimes be writing, so doing good reports or doing good presentations are really important. And you learn those skills in school, don't you? When you write stories or you write reports for your teacher, those kinds of things are really important. I went to university. I don't think it's necessary, and you don't have to go to university, but I learned a lot at university, and that helped me understand about crime and about psychology, and taught me lots of skills that I then use in work. But more than anything, I think if you care and you really want to make a difference and you work really hard, I think you could easily do my job.
If you could be any superhero, which one would you be and why?
That's a great question. I would be Spider-Man because, well, first of all, I like going to the cinema with my little boy. I've got an 8-year-old boy, and he loves superhero films, but our favourite one is Spider-Man, so we've seen quite a few of them. So it's very special because my son really likes him, but also I really like that he's just like a normal boy, isn't he? And he's just been given these powers that he can do incredible things and save the world. So I think I'd be Spider-Man.
I agree with you, I want to be Spider-Man.
Yes! I love Spider-Man.